Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with a good old DVD review for my friends over at WWEDVDnews.com, Sean Blackford and friends over there. This week had the release of one of the most anticipated DVDs, Blu-rays for me this year. It was The True Story of Wrestlemania on Blu-ray. I picked this up yesterday. This honestly probably got me more fired up for WrestleMania than anything out there. This is a great documentary. This is a great selection of matches that are out there. I mean, for somebody that's going to be attending WrestleMania, just something besides for his tickets coming in the mail to get him all kinds of fired up. It was awesome. I mean, running out to the store, paying the $30 for the Blu-ray. I believe it was $25 and some tax at Best Buy. You can get it a little bit cheaper on Walmart, but you have to order it through the mail and get it shipped to your house. But honestly, this is so good. I drive to your local Best Buy and pick this up and watch it immediately. Don't wait for shipping. Don't wait for anything. I saw so many people on Twitter last night busting this out. Everybody was talking about this. Probably the most overhyped tweet was about WrestleMania 4. Everybody was marking out for the kid who wanted the Honky Tonk Man to win the title tournament. But I really can't do an impression of that, so we'll move on from there. This was a great Blu-ray. It actually starts out the documentary talking about the territories, Vince McMahon taking over for his dad as the head of the WWF, moving in a different direction. Instead of moving into territories, he was to take over the United States and the entire world with wrestling. Vince, he moved through there. He started the whole MTV rock and roll thing, and you get to see a lot of the build-up for the war to settle the score, the MTV show that came on, I believe, in '84. And he moves on from there, how he took a vacation and was trying to dream up what the next thing he's going to do to move on. From there, it was Howard Finkel who took credit for coming up with the name WrestleMania. He pretty much, being the big rock and roll fan he is, just thought about how when the Beatles came to America, everything was Beatlemania. Well, he just took that and said, we'll just call it WrestleMania. They talk about all of the huge amounts of celebrities that was based around WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, just how they brought everybody in, Billy Martin, Liberace, so on and so forth. I'm going to switch the style of review up. I do a little bit for this review. I could talk about this all day and tell you everything that's on there, but I'm just, I want you to go out and watch this for yourself. I don't want to do a DVD review like I did for the movie The Chaperone earlier this week, where I basically just told you the whole thing. I'll just give you one more tip, that you can run out and, well, I guess you don't have to run out. You can go sit down on your couch and watch the documentary part just on Netflix right now. Honestly, I was so fired up to watch this. I woke up really, really early when they downloaded it on the Netflix and watched most of the documentary about 1:30 in the morning on Tuesday. So I'll just point out some of the things that are on there. One thing I was like, as the thing was going, they do a review of WrestleMania 1, they do a WrestleMania 2. One of the questions I always had about WrestleMania 2 was if it was filmed live all at the same time, or if it was 3 shows on 3 separate days, or like if the people actually sat there and they watched the shows and as they happened, and then they got their live portion and they tell that story. That's actually what happened. They said they started the show in New York. They watched an hour of live show, and then they watched the next 2 hours live over the big screens. And then Chicago went. They watched 1 hour of the New York show on TV. Then they watched their live show, and then the screens came down, so on and so forth. So that's always been a big question of mine. I didn't know if maybe WrestleMania wasn't live and they filmed it on 3 days, and then they just sort of copied and pasted it together to make one big show, and they just kayfabed it by people not being there and having different announcers and so on and so forth. But that was one of the big questions I always had about WrestleMania 2 that was on there. For this documentary, they bring in a lot of guys, and they talk about WrestleMania 2. They have documentary footage of Refrigerator Perry talking about the NFL Battle Royal that's on there. huge amounts of stuff that's from WrestleMania 3. Lots of good stuff. One of my favorite little segment things that they put on there is they have Lord Alfred Hayes and they have Gorilla, and they show that their thing before the show, like getting everybody hyped up. That's on the DVD and the VHS that starts the show pretty much. Just saying how everybody's piling in, but you actually get to see the clips before and after the footage, like before it's cut. You know, them looking around at how big the crowd is and just in amazement of just like, wow. That's another big plus of these the interview segments that they have on there. A lot of this stuff is like Mean Gene Okerlund, when he is giving his promos, the second they end, he marks out for a good promo, like big time. He did one with Liberace, and the second Liberace said the last thing he was going to say, he was like, "Oh, we nailed it." And I honestly just thought that was great. Good old Chaperone promo in there. We didn't get an insert in this one, but we did get an insert for the Chaperone and the pay-per-view schedule that was in there. WWE DVD News did show a picture. If you buy the DVD, the 3-disc DVD set, the box is different. It has some really cool artwork. The artwork on the disc right here is from WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. It's on both discs there, but on the 3-disc DVD set, it has a flap, and on the flap they actually printed it right on there. All the extra matches, all the extra footage that is on there. After WrestleMania 3, they go on and they start talking about WrestleMania 23. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. You can't skip 20 years of stuff. But honestly, they talk about 23, the Battle of the Billionaires. They do a lot of coverage on that. But right after that, they tie it all in to go into WrestleMania 4 and WrestleMania 5 when they go to the Trump Tower. So I guess it made sense. But at first, I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is crap. You can't go on and do stuff like that. But like I said, I don't want to give away everything that's on there. They go on about they put Hulk Hogan over huge in this documentary. One thing I was really surprised about, like the Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon don't have the greatest relationship in the world, especially right now that he's in TNA. He's not really helping the company at all, but he is working for them, so I didn't think that Vince was going to put him over as much as you can. But honestly, when you think about WrestleMania, the first thing you think about is just this Hulk and just how big he was and how he transformed wrestling. I mean, I would bet that if you asked at least 4 out of 10 people that became wrestling fans in the 80s, they're going to say the reason why is Hulk Hogan. Maybe even more than that, but they put him over huge, and then they put Austin over just as much. Another thing is they don't pull punches when they talk about WrestleMania 12. When they talk about WrestleMania 13, they don't say that they're bad WrestleManias, but they admit that they're not at their best because WCW is kicking their ass. That is the one thing that Jim Nye 686 is gonna love. I mean, he hates one thing, that when the documentaries from the past have sort of changed history. And honestly, I couldn't think of one thing on here that they tried to cover up the truth on. I mean, they show Bischoff, and that one thing they love to show with him walking down on the Nitro stage, and he holds up the sign from the fan that says McMahon fears Bischoff. And it's the truth. Those documentaries, those WrestleManias, especially WrestleMania 12, when you got from Anaheim, you got HBK and Bret Hart in the one-man Iron Man match. I do like the Piper versus Goldust backlot feud, but I don't like it for wrestling. I just sort of like it for it's fun to watch. But I mean, if you didn't have that one-man Iron Man match, that could have ruined what WrestleMania is, just because of it's hard to pick up the ball after you drop it, as bad as that would have been dropped. One thing that comes to mind also is that they answered the question about WrestleMania 7 supposed to be in the Coliseum in LA. I think they did a little bit of a cover-up on there. They honestly say that they only sold 17,000 tickets before they moved it into the sports arena there. I honestly think that the reason why they pulled it was not for security issues. I believe that they pulled it just for the fact that tickets weren't selling. I mean, to me, I believe I was 7 when that happened, so I thought wrestling was as big as it was, but honestly, wrestling was on the downfall. People were getting a little bit sick of Hogan, and they weren't going to buy into it this time, no matter if they were using the war for as much as they could. And That was a great angle, and if they would have filled up the Coliseum, it would have been huge, and that would have been great. Another thing that they spent a lot of time on the documentary that I really liked was about Wrestlemania 24. Basically, everybody tells you how big of a dump the Orlando arena is, and they just say, like, even they have Jericho. Jericho said he saw the Rolling Stones in Orlando because that's where he used to live at the time, and he says that he was very surprised that they chose to put the WrestleMania there. When the Mania was at 24, they basically spent more money than they made on that show to turn that into the biggest arena they ever had. Honestly, I believe that Edge's entrance and the whole entrance itself is one of my favorite WrestleMania entrances, with a huge, like, skyscraper tower that's there, that huge video screen they built, and then just the huge fireworks going off in the background. I thought that was gold. I thought that was one of the best ones that was out there. This True Story of WrestleMania is packed with matches. I mean, just huge, packed to the gill with just tons and tons of matches. You buy a Blu-ray, you're going to get even more. You get the Money in the Bank ladder match from 2008. You get Shawn Michaels and Undertaker from WrestleMania 25, which Jericho says on this documentary is one of his favorites of all time. You're going to get Batista and John Cena. They just gave that to us on the Cena Blu-ray. That's one of, like, the ones they love to shove down our throats. That's in a lot of stuff, so that's not a big deal. You also get 9 more bonus segments that are not on the DVDs. So that, to me, that's one reason to run out and just buy this for itself. A couple things that were in the commercial. You don't get to see Vince sliding down the zip line. You don't get to see Mysterio at WrestleMania 26 jump in his hole, because that's the time that the spring shooter didn't go off, and that wasn't in there. But back to the matches. I mean, they've released greatest hits matches. There's the history of Mania. There's a history of Mania 1 through 14, 15, whatever the hell that says. And then there's the greatest superstars of WrestleMania. So you're like, you've got all these DVDs, Steve. Why the hell are you, like, saying that it's cool that you get more matches on here? A lot of these matches are the first time you're going to get these matches in high definition and Blu-ray capabilities. So, I mean, I honestly tweeted about, like, I don't care about the matches, I just want the documentary. That's all that matters to me a couple weeks ago, and if anybody remembers that, I have 100% changed my mind. Last night I watched the main event of WrestleMania 1 on here, and it is crystal clear. It's just like when they put a lot of the old footage on there. You're going to get the sides on there where they make the picture smaller, but the picture is so clear. It's so good. Other highlights on here, you're going to get Macho Man and the Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, Hogan and the Giant from WrestleMania 3. Those are first-time Blu-rays exclusives right there. You get Razor and Shawn from the WrestleMania 10 ladder match. You get Michaels and Austin from WrestleMania 14. You're going to get the Triangle ladder match, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. You're going to get the Vince and Shane street fight. You got Rock and Hogan from WrestleMania 18 right there for you. You got Cena and Triple H, Angle and Lesnar. And this is just great. This is gold. This is honestly the best documentary they've ever put out. A couple months back, I said that the Four Horsemen documentary was. I said that the Jericho was the best one of last year. But honestly, this is so good. Like I said, for anybody that's going to Mania, and to get something that fires them up even more to be ready to go, I'm ready. This is it. This is what you need right here. I wish I could tell you more, but I don't want to ruin the whole documentary for you. There's a lot of other people putting up reviews on this, because like I said, everybody bought this. If there's anybody out there that didn't buy this, I wish there was a way that I could put this in your hand, because this is gold right here. This is as good as you're going to get. And this is Stevie Breach. Thank you very much.